time is now 6 o'clock, and I would like to call the Rock County Board of Supervisors meeting to order at this time. First item of business, the invocation and pledge of allegiance by Supervisor Schneider. Would you all stand, please?
Dear Heavenly Father, as we gather together this April evening as a county board, we look to your guidance for your strength in making decisions, your wisdom in guiding us to use our resources effectively, and your love and compassion to make decisions for the common good and well-being of all of Rock County. We understand that decisions can be difficult for different reasons and points of view. Let us work together as one unified body to do our best for the county. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is roll call. Bob Zine.
Here.
Belkey.
Present.
Boswick.
Here.
Bryan.
Here.
Cullen.
Here.
Fugelseth.
Here.
Gorman.
Here.
Holman.
Here.
Knutson. Marshall.
Here.
Mawhinney.
Here.
Peer.
Present.
Pennycook.
Present.
Rashkin. Ringhand.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Scholes.
Here.
Schwartz.
Here.
Stevens.
Here.
Stone.
Here.
Sutter.
Here.
Sutherland.
Here.
Tillman.
Here.
Towns.
Here.
Whitledge.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
Woodman.
Present.
Levy.
Here.
28 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is item 4, consent agenda. 4A, adoption of agenda. 4B, approval of minutes from March 27th, 2025. 4D, recognition of county employees or others, recognizing Andrea Stover. E, other. E1, authorizing application for farmland preservation planning grant. E2, deleting 1 FTE administrative professional 2 position and 1 FTE deputy clerk of courts position to create 1 FTE deputy clerk of courts lead position. 3, amending the 2025 emergency management budget to accept Homeland Security exercise grant funds. 5, accepting the STOP Services Training Officers and Prosecutors Violence Against Women Formula grant funds. 6, resolution approving the carryover of 2024 budget appropriations to 2025. That is the end of the consent agenda.
Would anyone like anything removed from the consent agenda? Supervisor Schwartz.
I have a point of inquiry, just real quick, regarding the agenda. So I have a clarifying question on item 11C. But my first question is, we had the public hearing on that ordinance on March 13th board meeting, but we didn't have a first reading listed on that board meeting or the one prior or the one succeeding. So, and it was sort of by rule 4C 4-K. I'm just curious, can this item be on the board for action tonight in 11C?
Yeah, so the first reading really refers to reading the ordinance out loud. So the reading of the title of the ordinance is generally what we mean by first reading, so that should be fine.
Okay, so then my second clarification question is, are we going to be able to debate as well as possibly amend this evening?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like anything removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Mawhinney, second by Boswick. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Next item, please.
Next item, item 5, public hearing. 5A, creating 3.221 of the Rock County Ordinances, Crime Prevention Funding Board surcharge, first reading.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on item 5A this evening? Anyone wishing to speak on item 5A this evening, please step forward and state your name and your municipality, please.
Good evening. My name is Sheila Williams, and my municipality is Janesville, Wisconsin. Tonight, I would urge you not to pass the ordinance. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. This is why the majority of the other Wisconsin counties have not adopted this. The role of the court should not be transformed into a collection agency arm for outside organizations as a means to fund their activities. This ordinance would only serve to tax individuals with limited financial means to begin with. Financial inequities would certainly happen. Most likely those who qualify for free legal representation would have their surcharges waived, while more self-sufficient citizens would be able to make up the difference. Additionally, this ordinance puts a price tag on charges and could create potential conflicts of interest and abuses by incentivizing those in power, such as the DAs, to load up on charges and adversely impact plea bargaining negotiations. Again, I think this is a terrible idea that results in a lot of effort and controversy for a very small amount in a fund. What may seem like a small amount of money to pay for all of us sitting here in this courtroom tonight, it could mean a tank of gas to get someone to work or any other critical necessities that they may need. Efforts would be better spent participating in larger, more lucrative fundraising, private community events. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on item 5A this evening? Seeing none, we would close the public hearing on item 5A and move to the next item, please.
Next item, item 6, citizen participation. We do have one speaker that is signed up to speak this evening. Please come forward, state your name and municipality. The first speaker is Fred Carr.
Hello, Fred Carr. I live in Orfordville, but I'm speaking to you today as the director of the 911 Center here in Rock County. Just bringing to light that starting this Sunday, April 13th, until the following Saturday, April 19th, is the National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. 1 week a year, the 40 or so people that work here 365 days a year, no matter what, that answer the phone, send you help, give you medical advice over the phone to keep you alive until the ambulance gets there. This is their 1 week a year that they get recognized. So most of them like to be behind the scenes and not be seen or heard, but I encourage you to maybe take time out to say thanks to them. They get spoiled by police and fire departments usually pretty well, so that's a good thing, but sometimes just a thanks or a handshake or saying, you know, thanks for all you do is worthwhile. So just wanted to bring that to your attention tonight, so thank you.
Thank you.
That's the last speaker signed up to speak this evening. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Seeing none, is there any communication from Supervisor Boswick?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of things. First of all, I would like to thank Lisa, Lori Stotler, and all the town clerks and the many people in the background for implementing a very smooth and efficient election last week. Seems like it was longer ago than last week, but it was. Anyway, I did work at a polling place, and I saw firsthand how training, planning, and preparation help make things work, so hats off to all of those people. The second thing is at your station, Randy handed out a flyer. It's from the WCA. They put on these things called webinars called In the Boardroom, and there's one coming up on Wednesday, April 23rd from noon to 1. This one deals with county funding of nonprofits. I think that might be worth hearing. You do need to pre-register. It's free, but you do have to pre-register to get the link to listen in. These are recorded. You can view or rather listen to them at a later date, but I think you still have to pre-register to be able to get that link later on. So please consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other supervisor with communication? Supervisor Schneider?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I spoke with Supervisor Wilson earlier today, but I just wanted to let everybody know that we have some of our youth and governance students here tonight for their first time. I have a student from Janesville Craig, Sade Miller, and there's a couple others if any other supervisors want to say your student here as well. So thanks for being here, all.
Okay, Supervisor Wilson?
Thank you, and I will follow up and give you a little more information about the Youth and Governance program. We had our orientation on Saturday, and we had about 20 people there altogether. There were all 6 of our youth representatives. We had 9 county supervisors in attendance, plus committee members and so on. Had a really good opportunity for supervisors and the young people to get together. I know that there are at least 3 of our student representatives in the audience. There may be more. I'll read all of their names. Cooper Buell, is Cooper here? Didn't think he was. Kian Harkey. Kian, why don't you stand up if you're here in attendance? Cooper and Kian are both assigned to Public Safety and Justice Committee and attended their first meeting the other night. Brian Hamas Manuel. Brian, I know, is here. Brian is assigned to the Finance Committee meeting and attended the Finance Committee meeting just before this meeting. Emma Kinzelman, don't believe Emma is here. Emma is assigned to the Human Services Committee and or board and attended their first meeting last night. Several of the young people were also at the Sheriff's Office award ceremony following that. I know Sade Miller is here. Sade? And Sade is assigned to the Board of Health and will be attending her first meeting. That one starts in first week in May. And then the final student is Max Olson. And Max Olson is assigned to the County Board Staff Committee and attended first meeting as an observer and will be following up with his role as a formal student representative. Great group of young people. They learned a whole lot about the county. We all took a quiz. We talked about perhaps doing the quiz for all of the county supervisors as well. It was kind of a fun quiz. I will share something that I thought was really great. The quiz was put into an electronic form so that we could see sort of the leaderboard as people answered the questions. And I came in first because I wrote the quiz, so I kind of knew what the answers were. But number 2 on our quiz was our new county administrator, which appeared to me as if he's been studying up on Rock County a bit to do that well on the quiz that had some fairly obscure questions on it. So great start to our youth and governance. We've got some wonderful young people who are really engaged and eager to engage with you. Do welcome them as you see them and answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other supervisor with communications? Seeing none, I do have one that in the event in this wonderful weather that we're having, snow, rain, sunshine, in the event if we ever receive the tornado warning sirens, then if we are here, we would go down to the basement and we would ask that people would move in an orderly fashion. And we would go down to the basement and I think one of the staff members would lead us there. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there. If we're ever in here and the sirens go off, we would head to the basement. Okay. And I know everyone here tonight was saying, are we going to get out of here before the sirens go off tonight? So I'm just letting you know. I'm going to do the best that I can, but don't put the pressure that everybody put on me tonight. It was kind of tough. So any other?
But if it happens, we're not.
Lisa said, but if it happens, we're not going anywhere. So just so we'll know. So we can continue the meeting then. So any other supervisor with communications? Seen anything from staff?
Yes. Just a couple of quick announcements. The Traffic Safety Commission application period closes this Wednesday, as do the Human Services Board applications and the ADRC Advisory Committee applications. The CJCC will have 4 positions that will need to be filled before the end of May. If you know anyone who's interested, we'll have those application and how to do that on the website shortly. And we will begin to start to advertise for Parks Advisory members. We're anticipating there will be 2 vacancies in July, and we believe the incumbents are not interested in being reseated on the board. So that concludes the announcements.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item. Item 7, nominations, appointments, and confirmations. We have completed all of those. Item 8, recognition of county employees or others. 8A, recognizing Tammy Peterson.
Is there a motion? Motion by Mawini. Is there a second? Second by Pierre. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Supervisor Mawini.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I told Sandy that I didn't know Tammy. I saw her at the fair, lots of years, running between barns and kids and everything else. So don't have any funny stories, though. So we'll read the resolution. Whereas Tammy Peterson has served the citizens of Rock County for more than 23 years as a dedicated and valued employee of Rock County. And whereas Tammy began her career with Rock County on October 29th, 2001, as an account clerk 1 in the Register of Deeds. Her title changed to Register of Deeds clerk, then to Register of Deeds specialist. The name of the position changed over the years, but Tammy remained steadfast in her care for the land records of Rock County. And whereas during her years of service, she had a hand in recording more than 760,000 documents. She assisted many business partners, including the title companies, personnel surveyors, and attorneys. More importantly, she provided excellent customer service to the public. Tammy has always been a great resource for her coworkers, and whereas Tammy took pride in her work and will always be willing to help others. And when Tammy will retire from Rock County on April 7th, she will be missed by her coworkers and the business partners she served. Whereas the Rock County Board of Supervisors, representing the citizens of Rock County, wish to recognize Tammy for her dedication and faithful service. Stop and think, 760,000 documents. Wow. And we changed systems a couple times in there too, so.
Yeah, a few changes. Can I fix safety things? Okay. So if some of you might not know what the Register of Deeds does, what do we do in that office? The Register of Deeds is in charge of recording and maintaining official records of real estate transactions, including deeds, mortgages, land contracts, plats, as well as vital records, keeping official records for births, deaths, and marriages. Those official records date back to when the Register of Deeds was established in 1836. And yes, we have records that go back to 1836, don't we, Tammy? Tammy was in the office when I moved to the Register of Deeds 12 years ago. It did not take long for me to realize she was the go-to person in the office when we needed to find records, both old and new. She had already been recording documents for 12 years prior to me coming, and prior to that, prior to her being hired at the county, she was a searcher for the title company, visiting the office daily, hauling those 30-pound books off and on the shelves, providing chain of title. No wonder she knew where everything was. The extension at her desk still rings. The title companies and surveyors have her number programmed in their phones. Even though she has not been in the office for a few weeks, she's still part of the family, and she'll be greatly missed.
I really enjoyed my time with the county, born and raised in Janesville. So I'm not going far, but I'm still be around if somebody needs help looking at records. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item, item 9, introduction of new resolutions or ordinances by supervisors for referral to appropriate committee.
If there's any supervisor that would have a new resolution or ordinance that would like to present, please step forward at this time. Seeing none, next item, please.
Item 10, reports. 10A, Climate Action Plan, Constellation Consultant Report, Brent Sutherland and Constellation Consultants.
Brent?
There's a statewide tornado drill at 6:45. So the sirens will go off.
Okay, I was just afraid there was gonna be a tornado. I got a little freaked. Okay. We're anticipating one.
Did you switch that?
Well, while he is pulling it up, I'll just tell you while we're here. So my name is Courtney. I'm with Constellation. We've created Rock County Climate Action Plan. So congratulations, you now have a climate action plan, and we will talk a bit more about that. Here it goes. But essentially, Rock County does have a climate goal to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 50%. Or sorry, by becoming carbon neutral by 2050. So we'll go through that today. So we'll just briefly, this small agenda, we're going to do this quickly, but just talk a little bit about Constellation, the company, the climate action plan we created, your greenhouse gas emissions, decarbonization strategies, and funding strategies. So with that, like I said, I'm Courtney Bland. I work for Constellation Navigator, which is a subsidiary of Constellation. And I'm our sustainability advisory manager. So I have been working in climate consulting and sustainability consulting for over 15 years, helping different types of clients meet their different sustainability goals and things of that nature. And this is my colleague Barney. I'll let him introduce himself.
Sure. I'm Barney Schaefer. I'm Senior Business Development Manager for Constellation. I've been working in the energy space for about 40 years. Used to live in Janesville, worked with Brent 20 plus years probably, and we supplied natural gas to the county for a very long time. What I want to do is just give you a brief introduction to who Constellation is in case any of you have not heard of us. Constellation Energy Corporation is an American energy company, provides electric power, natural gas, and sustainability carbon reduction services across the U.S. We're headquartered in Baltimore, Maryland. We've got regional offices in Boston. We've got regional offices in Boston, Philadelphia, Louisville, Chicago, and Houston. We're traded on the NASDAQ. We're a Fortune 200 company, and we employ about 13,000. We operate in 48 states and the District of Columbia. And approximately, we supply about 2 million customers, and which is about 75% of the Fortune 100. We're also the U.S.'s largest producer of carbon-free energy, and that is done by, we own 40% of the U.S. nuclear fleet. So we are deeply involved in the carbon reduction efforts nationwide. And Brent came to us a year or two ago and said, we've got these goals. We need some help on how to get there. And so Courtney and her team have taken it on and come up with an impressive plan. And I'll let her go over that.
So just quickly, as I said, Constellation Navigator is actually a subsidiary, and we're supporting your goals in a few ways. So you use our utility bill management system to track all of your energy bills. The carbon accounting platform was utilized for the climate action plan, calculating your greenhouse gas emissions. We also have a rebates administration and then the sustainability advisory team, which is where I sit. So just a little bit about Constellation so you understand we are your energy provider and also a partner in other ways. I know a few of you I've seen before, so sorry if it's redundant, but I also see new faces, so great. But this is our scope of work that we delivered for you all. And again, this was started because you do have that carbon neutral goal for 2050. So the first thing we did was calculate your 2017 and 2023 greenhouse gas emissions. In order to reach your target, you got to know where you're starting from. So your base year is 2017. So that target will always be measured against that year. And then we also did 2023. This should be repeated annually in order to understand where you are in regards to that target. Then we also conducted a mitigation or decarbonization strategy analysis. And so this is just helping Rock County prioritize the different types of initiatives to help reach that goal. And then I guess I'll just note that the greenhouse gas emissions is part B in the document in front of you, or part 2, I should say, and part 3 is that mitigation strategy analysis. So you have that in more detailed form. And then the climate action plan is part 1, so a couple of deliverables with that. So the first one is kind of what we are calling the external facing document. We'll go through that in a little more detail. And then you also have an editable Word document that the facilities management has. And this is really meant to be a working document. So as your strategy develops and you calculate your emissions, maybe you can update it every year or every few months to kind of keep yourself on track about where facilities is, where mobile is, things like that. So to dive a little deeper, this is the climate action plan, like I was saying, the external facing one. And really the point of this is that there are a couple counties and a few municipalities within Wisconsin and other states that have a climate action plan or something similar, and they put this on their website. So you're being transparent about what your goal is, as well as how you plan to get there in terms of meeting those goals. So that's one reason to have this and to utilize it so that your constituents, your different stakeholders kind of know what you are doing in this space. So climate action plan is a little more high level than the detailed parts 2 and 3 in your document. And again, this will be for the external facing piece. It does discuss greenhouse gas emissions and lays that out, just not as in detail as that other piece. But just to give you an overview, from 2017 to 2023, your emissions did increase. This is mostly due to the fact that there was increased square footage. And there was a lot of energy efficiency measures that the county was starting to implement. And you can really see that because in addition to just the greenhouse gas emissions, we have normalized greenhouse gas emissions by square foot. So when you look at it in that regard, your emissions actually did go down per square foot. So these different things, measuring this obviously can kind of just tell you where you are throughout the years. So in that climate action plan, these are the 2 areas that we have, buildings and energy, and then mobile and fleet. And there's 6 building and energy strategies in there, as well as 3 mobile and fleet strategies. And then there's priority actions for each one within the document. So I'll quickly go through them. Strategy 1, efficiency continuity. This is really about continuing to do things that the county's already done. So finishing up the LED lighting, doing things like retro commissioning and recommissioning in buildings, just kind of best practices to continue. Then the second piece is that renewable energy piece. What we really found to focus on here right now is installing solar rooftop projects. Then for strategy 3, we have cost-effective measures. A lot of times these don't reduce greenhouse gas emissions a ton. It's things like air sealing, wall insulation, but they do make the other initiatives that you may take in terms of rooftop solar or more capital-intensive energy efficiency measures and makes them more productive. So then strategy 4, capital and intensive energy efficiency measures. This is going to be things like heat pumps, variable refrigerant flow, things of that nature. And then strategy 5, this is really more of a process than it is anything tangible at this point, but reviewing innovative and new technologies. So there's tons of things happening in this space to help counties and companies to reduce their emissions, but a lot of them in the beginning are kind of cost prohibitive, things like carbon capture and storage, things of that nature. And so, reviewing those annually and seeing what's out there, is it something that's become feasible for us? Because as these things are adopted more rapidly, they become, kind of more feasible. And then finally, something we'll talk about in a little more detail here in a bit is residual emission solutions. And essentially, no matter how much you reduce, likely you're going to have to do something with some residual emissions. So I will talk about that more. And then strategy 1 for mobile and fleet. This is similar to strategy 1 for buildings, but maintenance continuity, just continuing to do tune-ups, things like that we understand are already happening. And this can actually save quite a bit in emissions just by making sure you're doing your regular maintenance checks and all of that. Then strategy 2, optimization and efficiency. This is advanced controls, things like anti-idling. And then strategy 3, alternative fuel vehicles. There was already a study done that the county was included in, as well as the city of Janesville, and it's for low, no emission vehicles. And so this is really more about taking that study and those recommendations and start implementing. I also will just note that, we did look at other things that are not currently in the strategies, like a larger solar array to cover your energy load. That would require, I think we said 50 to 90 acres of land to put the array on, and just determined that wasn't feasible, at this time. So looked at several other options, and this is, the strategies we ended up with. So quickly, can't go into a lot of detail here because of time, but how we came up with these strategies is research, subject matter expertise, and analysis. So just kind of want to point out some of the analysis pieces. So for buildings and energy, the approach is that we use a software for the renewable energy, for the cost-effective and capital-intensive measures, and it gives us an idea about capital expenditure or upfront costs. It also lets us know what kilowatt-hour savings could potentially be. And then we use that in another tool called the marginal abatement cost curve. And what that gives us is potential greenhouse gas emission reductions, as well as different financial measures. So net present value, marginal cost, as the tool is called, lifetime savings or costs as well. Mobile and fleet, really the analysis we did was around that optimization and efficiency strategy, strategy 2 for mobile, and just understanding, having your fleet characteristics based on the greenhouse gas emissions assessment. We use some data from EPA on different measures and how those will essentially reduce mileage and therefore reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So again, this is just a quick overview, but this is just an example of the output for solar. And so you can see, obviously we have the street address and did it that way by address, and also, how these different buildings are used, and came out with this. This, again, is just some of the solar, but you can kind of see here, I bolded, which maybe is hard to, I'm realizing it's probably hard to see maybe back there, but Human Services Building, the Dale Building, the 1717 Center Avenue is a good candidate. If you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, row 6, estimated NPV or net present value, that's a really good indicator to use because it lets you know, okay, if this number is positive, then over the long term, this is probably going to give us some payback, which is kind of important when you're considering these initiatives. But also what's important, again, is greenhouse gas reduction. So this just shows you that. We also have the courthouse, this building, as a good potential for rooftop solar, as well as the sheriff's office at 200 East US 14. So again, more analysis in the part 3, but just wanted to give an example of kind of what these outputs look like. Okay, so getting to that carbon neutral goal, unless you're going to run off a kind of like what I was talking about, I'm going to go 100% renewable energy. There's a good chance that you're going to have residual emissions. Governor Evers has a goal of making the electricity grid carbon neutral by 2050. Will it get there? If so, then maybe you won't have to worry about this piece, but it's hard to know if those things will happen. So let's say that doesn't happen, then you're going to need to purchase renewable energy credits or carbon offsets to get there. And this is essentially saying, we're going to have some emissions, like I said, unless you're running off 100% renewable energy or the grid is completely clean. And so you can purchase these things that many organizations utilize in order to get to carbon neutral goals. So this is basically saying a renewable energy credit, you're buying 1 megawatt of renewable energy that's somewhere else, but you're getting a certificate saying that, you have made this purchase, you are helping, at least make renewable energy happen somewhere else by purchasing this. And carbon offsets are very similar, except for you're investing in like a project that is taking carbon out of the atmosphere. So it may be I'm planting trees in the Amazon and I'm paying for a metric ton of greenhouse gas emissions or carbon emissions that's happening somewhere else. So just an important thing to keep in mind that, this may be necessary to meet that goal in the future. And finally, and then we can also take questions, but I'm sure a lot of you know the budget process here. But in addition to just requesting budget, there's different ways to fund these types of projects. So one thing that the county has already taken advantage of is using the Focus on Energy Rebates program through Wisconsin. It's the main rebate program. Brent's gotten money back from LED lighting and things like that, but it can also be helpful for some of these other strategies and measures that are laid out. And then incentives, a big one that many organizations and companies have taken advantage of is under the Inflation Reduction Act. That was passed by Congress, and essentially it's the biggest climate funding available for things like solar projects, and has really helped a lot of government agencies be able to start investing in renewable energy. So happy to answer questions, but now you have a climate action plan.
Thank you. Any questions? See none. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Next item, please.
Next item, item 11, new business. 11C, amending 4.10 of the Rock County Code of Ordinances. Land Use Management and Zoning, Environmental Management, and Board of Adjustment, Subchapter 2, Environmental Management, Part 10, Non-Metallic Mining Reclamation.
Is there a motion? Motion by Bostwick, is there a second? Supervisor Knudsen, Supervisor Bostwick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This ordinance amendment, which was drafted by the Land Conservation Department staff and approved by the Land Conservation Committee, is primarily an update of language to reflect DNR requirements. This is in response to the DNR's recent routine audit of practices. Tonight, we have Paul King with us from the Land Conservation Department. Paul worked alongside Corp Counsel on this document, and he'll provide us with a brief summary and see if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you all and good evening. My name is Paul King, and I'm a conservation specialist for the Land Conservation Department. I administer Rock County's non-metallic mining reclamation program, which is represented by the non-metallic mining reclamation ordinance. August 29th and 30th, 2024, the Department of Natural Resources conducted a routine performance audit review of Rock County's non-metallic mining reclamation program. This is a standard process that occurs throughout the counties of Wisconsin and is based approximately on a 10-year audit interval. Rock County's last audit occurred October of 2012, and for some additional historical context, Rock County's first non-metallic mining reclamation ordinance was adopted in 2001 as Chapter 31 and was then later amended in 2007. In 2013, the non-metallic mining reclamation ordinance was recodified to Chapter 4, Subchapter 2, Part 10, and continues to function as such. Based on the 2024 DNR audit findings, certain components of Rock County's non-metallic mining reclamation ordinance has language not consistent with Wisconsin State Legislature, Chapter of NR 135. NR 135 and Rock County's non-metallic mining reclamation ordinance has and will continuously evolve. The purpose of this ordinance resolution is to ensure consistent language with NR 135 and remain in DNR compliance. This resolution has no fiscal impacts and does not alter the way Rock County administers the non-metallic mining reclamation program. I am asking for your favorable consideration in approving the resolution for Rock County's non-metallic mining reclamation program. Thank you.
Thank you. By question, Supervisor Schwartz.
Thanks, Chair. I just have one or two quick questions. So does this ordinance actually cover solar fields where we're moving topsoil and driving pylons?
No, sir, this does not regulate any of the solar fields.
Okay. And then the only other question I had was on, for lines 199 through 201, where we're removing the limit of county liability. Is that the DNR saying us to do that, or is that us doing that?
Yeah, so we talked with corporate counsel about this. The DNR recommended we remove this because this does not reflect NR 135, any of the language in there. But we have county liability. We don't feel the need to repeat it in our county ordinance for this program specifically.
So the language isn't in NR 135, and so the DNR, we're preempted from having anything different in the state with regard to the standards. So they view that as a deviation from that. I don't find it particularly worrisome on a risk management point of view, just because you sort of say you don't have any liability in an ordinance it doesn't mean you don't have any liability. And two, all of the immunities, it's not as if we're waiving immunity. Like, we still have all of the immunities that we would have even when that is in there. So it's a pretty minor tweak, and I don't see it as a risky tweak at all.
Thank you.
Anyone else? We do have a motion and a second. This is roll call, I believe.
Doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be. Thank you. So all those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Next item, please.
Next item, item 11D, creating Employee Health Insurance Advisory Committee.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Towns, second by Bryan. Supervisor Towns.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution came out of an ad hoc committee that was created 10 months ago by this board to study what the employees' prioritized for health care, health insurance. And the committee met a dozen times approximately over the last 10 months. It was a great committee. I chaired it, and I just really appreciate everybody who served on it. They completed their report as charged by the 1st of April, and it has been given to the County Board Staff Committee as charged, and to the county administrator. Out of that report, their first recommendation, and it became very evident after we'd met a few times, that there was a lot of learning to go on, and we all learned a lot and came up to speed on health insurance language, health insurance premium offerings, the desires of the employee representatives, and all of that. And so their first recommendation was that not all of that institutional knowledge should be lost by eliminating or disassembling the committee, but rather to change the committee and have some continuation and change the format of the committee into a single-purpose committee rather than ad hoc, and have that committee, that single-purpose committee, meet beginning in August of every year and come up with recommendations to the board and to county board staff and the county administrator as they began to design the next year's budget. And so this resolution does that. It changes the status of that committee, and there are details in it about having some overlap of carrying on and having some of the same people on it if they desire to be, so that that institutional knowledge can carry on from year to year. There's also details in the resolution you can read about how to replace people who step off the board or off the committee, excuse me, and that sort of thing. But this would change it into a single-purpose committee that would continue from year to year by the 1st of April, early in April, offering their recommendations for the following budget year to the board. So that's basically what this is.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Supervisor Schwartz.
Thanks, Chair. One question I have is, generally, these types of things, in my experience, have always been done by HR and benefits, that they should be able to handle moving forward and planning how to make changes to healthcare. And most of the time, you don't see changes being made every year. I know we're sort of in a state of flux for last year and then moving into next year, but how long do we see this committee having to be here? Because it just seems like this is something that we should be doing internally and without having to do this type of committee for the next 20 years.
Okay, Supervisor Towns.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I would agree that, and we had a lot of assistance from HR and from M3, which is our health insurance consultant. Obviously, the committee people needed to rely on them for some of the data and statistical information. I think this is an effort. It had 3 board members and 15 employees that were randomly chosen. I think we had an even number, and so that created a problem one time when we had a tie vote. And so in the resolution, we suggest having an odd number. And so I think this was an effort, however, to listen to employees and to hear these are merely recommendations. They're not, the report is merely recommendations. This is the only resolution that came out of the report was because the employees felt it was a good thing. We had good conversations. I learned a lot about what's important to our employees when it comes to their health care. And so what would come out of this committee every year would be merely recommendations to County Board Staff Committee, to the County Administrator, and to the full board. this resolution that's before us is the only resolution to sustain the action of keeping to meet and make recommendations. They would not be making any determinations. They are just bringing their recommendations.
Okay, Supervisor Stevens?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am reading the wording of this, and it sounds like they recommend designing the structure of the single-purpose committee. I'm trying to make sure I understand in here, because I have an advisory board, and the wording of my advisory board says you understand that you are advising it, you don't actually make decisions. So I just, Supervisor Towns, I want to make sure that the advisory board understands they're advising to address that concern of, every year you're changing. Okay, so they do understand it's an advisory board? I just want to make sure.
Supervisor Towns?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just it is a single-purpose committee whose purpose is to recommend healthcare premium and healthcare program changes to the county board staff committee and the county administrator to be used or to be considered in the designing of the next year's budget.
Okay, that was my understanding of that's what this was, an advisory. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Supervisor Holman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When they're talking about the advisory committee and the 15 employee participants of this committee, will that number of participants from the labor sector still always be there for this advisory? Or will that be shrunk, or will that be added on to if warranted?
Supervisor Towns?
I guess this resolution determines that there'll be 3 supervisors and 16 employees chosen in a random selection. So until someone would have to amend it or bring another resolution, because that this one says 16 employees.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering if the number is going to stay, and it sounds like it is.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? We do have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Next item, please.
Next item, item 12, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn. Motion by Bostwick, second by Pennycook. Any questions, comments? All those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none,